Okay, as if you didn't read the spoiler warning ahead of this video, there's going to be a massive amount of spoilers. Um, yeah, so don't watch this if you have not seen the end of Dexter New Blood, a show that nobody probably cares about anymore because I am making a video about it way too fucking late. But here we are. So, well, I mean, not too late. I think it's been a week, but like in internet times, that's like 40 years. So, why am I making a video about this now? Well, I was watching a couple of like half an hour ago. I watched a video that by users I very much love, Red Letter Media, of course, classic YouTubers, although they are not really YouTubers because they definitely don't fit that bubble. Anyway, so I was watching their movie Catch Up, and Jay mentioned Dexter New Blood, and he hadn't seen the last episode yet because it hadn't come out yet at that point, and apparently he hated it. So I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I heard that some people were disappointed by it, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And then there were a bunch of comments that are like, Dexter New Blood's ending is the worst thing since Cancer. So I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I looked it up, and apparently people absolutely fucking despised this ending. And I'm like, wow, it has a 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which is the apparently worst rated Dexter episode ever. I'm like, wow, what the fuck happened? So I'm going to be doing sort of an off-the-cuff video, as you probably could tell at this point, because I'm using lots of ums and uhs, and I'm not as monotone as I am. But sort of an off-the-cuff because I'm angry that people are being dumb. Well, not dumb. Like, if you don't like the ending, that's fine. Like, I have no qualms with individual people hating the ending. Like, you can hate it as however much you want, but I'm just like, just like tired, I guess. Like, because you have like this small, I don't know even if it is a minority of people, like this small group of people. Usually it's a small group of people that hate. Okay, so going back a bit, I absolutely despise the idea of toxic fandom. I fucking hate it with every fiber of my being because it is completely and utterly inaccurate in every which way or form. Because toxic fandom doesn't fucking exist. It is bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. It does not exist. Like, no matter which way you be like, oh, no. It doesn't fucking exist, and if you believe it, you're a fucking moron. I will say that. Like, normally, I try to be like, okay, let's see it from other people's point of views. I try not to be, like, that much of an asshole. Like, again, I don't care if you hate the ending of Dexter New Blood. I'm just, like, sort of like, what people have been saying about it is what pisses me off. If you don't like it, fine. But what they say is, like, just weirdly off to me. Anyway, so the idea of toxic fandom is bullshit, and if you believe it, you're a moron. Anyway, so that's where we're at. So, with that, I've just hated that idea. It's the reason why I hated the new Scream movie that just came out. A bunch of friends of mine forced me to watch it, so I watched it. Was never a huge fan of the Scream franchise, never really liked it. Big horror fan, don't really like it. Watched Scream 4 to catch up, and then I watched Scream 5. Refused to call it Scream because that's fucking stupid. I get it, but stupid. And there was like an entire scene breaking down the idea of like toxic fandom and how, it's not the writer's fault or the director's fault or the producer's fault or the corporation's fault that a product is shitty. No. It's the fans' fault because that makes sense. God forbid if we want to watch good products. Anyway, so I firmly believe the idea of toxic fandom is horseshit. So with that, I may seem hypocritical here, and I do apologize. I'm not trying to be, but just what people have been saying about Dexter New Blood's ending is just weirdly putting me off, because it comes off as like, just like, I don't really know how to explain it, because I don't want to hate on people who didn't like it. If you didn't like it, fine. But the way people have come across to me, now I could totally be wrong with this, but the way people have come across is like they hate the ending because it ended, you know? So, again, spoiler for the ending, but Dexter dies in the end. Dexter Morgan is killed. He's killed by his son Harrison. And I will say, the bad things, if I had to say anything bad, in my opinion, about the last episode, is that there's not much of an epilogue. Obviously, there's not much they could do, but I just felt like you had this, like, beloved character, and they kind of just, it just felt kind of rushed, and it wasn't as satisfying as it could be. But I still liked the ending. Oh, and the angel stuff was, I thought they were going to bring it back in a big way, but then they get just like, oh yeah, he still exists. Cool. And then he never gets mentioned again. Like, he comes up with this cameo in the middle of the season. Okay, cool. Great to see him. Little contrived as to why he's there. He's just an exposition dump for the Angela to figure everything out. And then he comes back later, and they don't do anything with him. Okay, fine, I get that. But the reason that people are hating on this ending is because it's cliched and predictable, which I find to be very ridiculous. Because, well, first off, there's a reason something becomes a cliche. It works. And so you have that. And then second, they already tried a risky ending. You know, the one where Dexter dumps his sister's body in the fucking ocean, drives into a hurricane, leaves his kid with a serial killer in South America, and becomes a lumberjack. That was a risky ending, and guess what? It fucking sucked. So, now, people are mad that it goes with an ending that actually makes sense with and fits the character of Dexter. Like, the whole fucking thing in regards to Dexter, he is a serial killer. We love him because he gets justice for the people that get off. He gets justice. That's why we love him. He is like a really, like, almost like Punisher. He is a even more fucked up version of, like, the Punisher, where he fucking murders people because they got off. Awesome. And that had to have come full circle, that somebody kills him. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's bad. Just because it perfectly fits with the character doesn't make it bad. It's like the way people are talking about it, it's like, what did you want? I'm actually genuinely curious. I'm not trying to act like a dick or anything. I'm really not. Except the stuff with the toxic fandom, I'm really trying not to act like a dick. Because, like, what the fuck would you want? What, like, he, like, goes into another plane of existence, being in a sensory deprivation chamber high on LSD or something? Because that wouldn't have worked. That doesn't make sense. In terms of things that didn't make sense, the only thing was, like, he killed Logan, which was, I felt, a little bit unnecessary, but it was the driving force as to why Harrison had to kill him, because he killed an innocent. So, even though he had done it in the past before, I believe it was like a photographer's assistant. He thought the serial killer was a photographer's assistant, but it was actually the photographer, or the other way around, I forget. But, like, that guy, he killed an innocent, and then he mercy killed Margot Martindale. So, he has killed innocent people before. So, that's totally not out of his character. I mean, he did it by accident one time. He did it by accident the first time, and then obviously Margot Martindale asked him to do it the second time. So and again, it's not totally out there for Dexter's character, especially with how protective he is over Harrison in this miniseries. And he doesn't want to see him killed or getting caught, because that's the rule. Don't get caught. Number one rule, don't get caught. So, with all of that, the ending perfectly makes sense, and everything comes full circle for Dexter. Dexter had to die. Dexter needed to die. Now, because there's literally 3 endings they could have done. He either goes off into the sunset again, and guess what? Everybody hated that ending. 2, he goes to prison, which would not have been satisfying, unless he maybe gets killed in prison. But again, that's like kind of, because like that goes against the number one rule, don't get caught. So that would not have been satisfying. And then finally he gets killed. That was the one. The whole thing in regards to Dexter, it's pretty much damned if they do, damned if they don't. No matter what the showrunners and writers would have done, people would have been angry. No question about it. That's why I was mentioning toxic fandom earlier, because I don't want to blame the fans for being mad. If you don't like it, fine, but if we're taking a step back in terms of a writing standpoint, it just makes sense. Now, I can't really talk to many people about this, because Dexter New Blood, while it was very successful for the most part, nobody has really given a fuck about Dexter since, like, it originally aired fucking almost 10 years ago. Ended 10 years ago, I should say. None of my friends watch it. My family, with the exception of my dad, hasn't watched it, and he is not very, like, in it with what people say, because he doesn't give a fuck, which is good on him, because ignorance is bliss, and meanwhile I'm making a ranting video on YouTube like a fucking moron, so here we are. But yeah, so there's not really, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make an angry ranting video about how I'm fucking just pissed that people are acting kind of dumb with like, oh, it's cliched, it's predictable. Yeah, but where the fuck else were they gonna go? If you were pissed at Dexter's ending, then please leave a good reason as to why you hated it. Like, predictable, cliche. It's cliche and predictable to call it cliche and predictable. Because it's like, no matter what you do, no matter what people do, you take a risk, you play it safe. It's just, people will be angry. I feel, and it's not their fault. It's never the fans' fault. Unless the fans do horrible things in the name of the show. Like, they're so pissed they murder somebody. Obviously, I don't think that's happened. I hope that hasn't happened, but God knows, with how the super duper small 0.01% of people are batshit and could do those kind of things. And that's like very small, very, very, very small minority. But the problem with the Dexter New Blood audience is that I think it is the majority. I mean, look how there's like 17,000, I think 17,000 reviews for the ending of Dexter New Blood, and I assume like at least obviously over half are like, this sucks because I'm angry that it didn't end the way I wanted it. And I'm curious as to how they wanted it to end, because maybe I'm like just kind of in this bubble or something, just this teeny tiny bubble of like being blissfully unaware of stuff. I mean, the thing is, I want to have a career in this. I would hope to know that I'm at least kind of good at this, kind of good at noticing this kind of thing. So with that, I'm just curious as to what people wanted. So yeah, that's that's a thing. Sorry if you hear noise in the background. People around my house just love to make noise for no reason. So apologies. I don't have like fucking special audio software that can take it out. Sorry. But I don't know. I just needed to kind of get that off my chest because I'm just just kind of done with a lot of just kind of fandom in general, I guess. But because the thing is about fandom, it's so complicated. I could make like an entire fucking video series dedicated to the ins and outs of the complicated aspects of fandom, because it's way more complicated than people make it out to be. It really is. And it's like, it's easy to say, oh, these fans are toxic because they want good stuff. And if you wanted something good out of the Dexter ending, I'm sorry you didn't get it, even though it makes sense. Like, it makes sense for the character. I don't really know what else to say because everything comes full circle with that. Like, he is a serial killer. At the end of the day, no matter what, he is a serial killer. Kills people. That is, in our society, morally wrong, no matter who it is, in a way. So he needed to get his just desserts, in a way. And I feel like the only person that could have done it was Harrison, because at least it felt like sort of complete in a way. If it was like Logan or Angela or Clancy Brown or whoever, it wouldn't have been... I think it still could have been satisfying, but not as satisfying as Harrison pulling the trigger, because that was just like you know what's going to happen. And it hurt, because I didn't know what was going to happen until the final episode. I had a feeling he was going to die, but like, I still wasn't sure, and I still kind of hoped against it. But, you know, here we are. I just needed to get that off my chest, sort of like an off-the-cuff sort of thing. If you like more of this, maybe I'll do it in the future. I'm thinking about doing it for Dickinson because I don't really care enough to have like a complete video about that. So I'm just saying whatever comes to mind. I'm not good at improv, so I apologize if this video was stupid and ridiculous and you didn't care for it. But I'm trying new things. I'm kind of reaching towards the end of what I want to do and that kind of thing. So that's my rant on fans of Dexter New Blood being kind of dumb. Not kind of. They're not dumb. I don't want to say they're dumb. I'm just having trouble understanding what people actually want and that sort of thing. So that's it. That's my rant. So next video, I might do my Dickinson video. That'll probably be another off the cuff, just sort of impromptu improv video, because I need to put this fucking show to rest, because I don't care anymore. But so I'll do that, and then I'll do my 12th Doctor video, and then after that is gonna be my 2 post-Justice League 5 casting. So stay tuned for that. I have no idea what's going to come after that, because I'm going to wait for the 13th Doctor to end her run, which is like probably going to be in like fall or like Christmas. So I got to wait till then to finish it, because it doesn't really make sense to do a video like that's the entirety of her run except one special. So I'm just going to wait for it to end, and then I'm going to do a Doctor Who ranked on her era. And then I'll have them, and then I'll do it in real time. But yeah, that's it. Stay tuned for future videos.